ever expected to see snow like this in carnival season. And look, we have some walking, they're bundled up. Let's see if we can talk with this individual right here crossing the street. Hi, how are you? My name's Chris. We're on live TV. What's your name?
My name is Monica. I normally would be at work, but not today.
Monica, what do you think of all this snow?
Well, I've been down here since '79, and this is the first time it's ever accumulated like this. It's not the first time it's snowed, but yeah, we got plenty of advance notice from y'all that this was going to happen. So here we are.
Well, look, we appreciate you watching, but have you attempted to make a snowman, snow angel, anything?
But you know, it's not holding together, so I can't. I made a snowball, and it took me like a few minutes to make it stick together. So it's not that type of snow today.
Yeah, describe the snow a little bit more. It seems really powdery.
Like a snowball, you know, that you would get at Hanson's. That consistency. Yeah,
absolutely. And look, yeah, we haven't seen too many people navigating the streets out here. Tell us what brought you out.
Okay, I saw one of my neighbors come by with 2 of these, and I said, "Who is selling baguettes?" And they said, "They're giving them away at IU." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll walk 5 blocks for a fresh baguette, sure." So here I am. I'm going to take it home, and I guess spend the rest of the day reading, you know?
Yeah, well, look, stay safe, stay warm, enjoy your baguette. I'm a little jealous that you got a baguette. We might have to take a walk ourselves, but thank you so much for chatting with us. It's a pleasure to meet you. But as you can see, the snow is just really accumulating out here, and one of the dangers as well is that if you're on the sidewalks, and as you know, even on a good day in New Orleans, you have to watch where you're going, but you really have to watch your step because, the snow is blanketing everything, so you go to walk, and then you're like, oh shoot, that was a hole. I'm glad I didn't fall. The street might be a little safer to walk through if you're in the middle, but aside from that, just everyone is out here enjoying themselves. We're going to send things back to you in the studio.
Okay, what an incredible day, Chris. And I think your snowman's perfect. It's like a little Olaf or like arm hugs.
You get an A for effort.
Awesome. Okay, so let's pretend like we just trekked 5 miles down the street from the Marigny to the French Quarter.
Where the scenes look like a postcard, like a picture. Truly. Perfect, just absolutely beautiful. Andres Fuentes is there. Andres.
Look, guys, snow is just such a rare occurrence. I can't remember the last time I've actually been able to go
it's
out
a snow
and enjoy it here in
family.
South Louisiana.
It is a snow. When I say snow, I'm saying snow. S-N-E-A-U-X. That's how I spell. What's going on live? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to the live stream, the hottest live stream in the cosmos of social media, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to get warmed up on this cold Tuesday afternoon, and I am glad to be with you on X, on Rumble, on YouTube, wherever you are. I hope you are blessed and doing safe. So let me come in the chat. Hold on. Guys, greetings. Yeah, I got on my turtleneck. How we doing tonight? All right, it is a snow day. Snow has hit the New Orleans area very hard. I'm talking freezing temperatures right now, and it hasn't stopped since this morning. Since about 7 o'clock this morning when I woke up, the snow was already on the ground, and now it's just accumulating. In fact, we're going to be in a freeze warning for another day, actually the next 2 days, because tonight is going to get even colder, so the snow is not going to be melted. And they are advising everybody to stay home. Now, it snowed in New Orleans before, but it doesn't snow as consistently like in places up in the north, like Buffalo, for instance. They're always getting snow, or Cleveland, or Chicago, New York, etc. And it has a lot to do with the fact that we're next to the Gulf. So the Gulf and Lake Pontchartrain, and there's usually warm moisture, which keeps it from snowing. However, what happens is that because we had such an Arctic blast and fridge in front that came through, and now moisture is accumulating all across the south, when you mix that in with temperatures below 32 degrees, you get snow. And I am enjoying it. I really am enjoying it because, hold on, these are some pictures outside and video I got from outside my house, ladies and gentlemen. So I was out earlier. I actually went jogging Oh, the weather outside is bright. Life is so delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping. Probably some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really, really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Sign that man up for America's Got Talent.
That's Snow up,
Rich. I was having fun. I put Coca-Colas out. Something, a little experiment I always do when it gets cold. I leave drinks out because it's gonna be cold. So we got our firewood. Man, I was in the store last night out on the North Shore in Slidell, and there were people buying last minute items, and the lines were incredibly long. We're talking across the store long, just waiting, people getting last minute supplies. There was no firewood or anything like that, but luckily for me, the night, a few days before the storm came through here, I gathered everything. But main thing too for people, especially with this storm, especially in the South, because we're not accustomed to this weather. Everybody's got to. I got some more pictures my mom sent me. She took of me outside. Yeah. The main thing with this storm too, everybody, please, please stay off the roads. There are people who have gotten reports of accidents already. People are driving, trying to get through. You can't get through when you have 4 or 5 inches of snow on the bridges, on the roads, on the causeways. So they've shut down the causeway. They shut down I-10 going towards Slidell. They shut down I-55. Just stay the fuck home. Stay home. Stay home. Don't get out. Don't go anywhere. If you're not emergency personnel, just stay home. You ain't got nothing to do. Work from home. If you got to, if you're that busy, yeah. Play checkers. Play solitaire. You feel lonely, play solitaire. But don't go out there in the snow driving and get stuck. Because 911, trust me, if they're going to have to come out there because you got stuck in the middle of the road and you can't move, they're going to take a long time getting out there. Because number one, they ain't used to driving in this type of weather. And number two, they probably just do that because you were so damn stupid. Don't go out. They closed the stores here, so nobody should be going out to get groceries. Yeah, always prepare at least 48 hours before, and we got advance notice. So 48 hours before, yeah, I'm out. I was out buying stuff days in advance. I only got a few last minute items yesterday that we were going to need because I knew we were going to be stuck in for a few days. The governor announced earlier today, he said there are going to be people that's going to be trapped in their homes for probably the next few days. A lot of Louisianians. They're saying the courts are going to be closed. In some areas, some places, the courts are going to be closed. I know for a fact they're closed. Of course, they're closed today. I know some who've already announced they're going to be closed tomorrow. And I'm waiting for my place to say they're closed. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think they announced it was closed on Wednesday, but they're going to see what happens on Thursday. I think they just need to close it for the rest of the week. Just close it for the rest of the week. think this is out in desperate hands, so they got the weather crew out. I didn't put on the weather channel because if I don't see that, because that guy from the weather channel that always be in New Orleans whenever there's a hurricane, he'd be walking in them floods. He wasn't there. He wasn't down here.
La Place,
Yeah, I
chat.
forgot how early it is yet. Like, I might actually try to go up to Batesville or something.
If he's down here, we know it's gonna be bad. And
It's
it
only
is bad.
4:15. It really isn't that late. I mean, I'm gonna probably go drive down here, drive around for a bit, and then start making my way north. My last hit with Fox is at 8:05 Central, so I'm gonna be out until at least for another 4 hours.
What's going on, Danielle? My
Yeah, I
sister
mean, when the
from
snow
Raceland.
stops, the roads aren't gonna get
I
better.
know it's cold out there.
So,
What's going?
unless they
Yeah,
have like
it's
a whole
going
arsenal
all the way
of
up
stuff
to
to come out.
Baton
Quiet,
Rouge.
but
Yeah, Baton
highly
Rouge
doubt it.
got
I think
that.
there's gonna be dumping salt on it. Night's gonna be a real pain once it turns to ice. Yeah, that's why I'm doing one last poke.
That's
This
out
way,
in
and I'm gonna
Desperate.
start heading out.
And just imagine now the snow is going to be clearing up. I think it's supposed to stop at about 6 o'clock later this evening. So that's in a couple of hours. But just imagine tonight it's going to be in the teens, and tomorrow it's going to be in the 20s, and Thursday is supposed to still, I think, rise up a little bit, but it's going to be in the 30s. That ice is going to be around till probably this weekend, and by that I mean at least by Friday. Foreseeable future, nobody's going to be going anywhere for a few days. Stay home, family. I'm enjoying this. I'm catching up on some other work. I'm catching up on the some movies I haven't seen. I may hit a movie night. I might be reading a book. That's the thing I'm going to do. I'll read a couple of books to catch up on. About 6 o'clock my time, 6:30, I'm going to be on Queen Ahmadiyya Shakur show too, by the way, for anybody that's interested. We're going to be talking a little bit about, and she's all into Diddy about Diddy's case, so she invited me to go on there. But, I haven't been keeping my regular schedule when I'm coming on the channel, because of the stuff that I've been dealing with ScrewTube and so forth. So I'm not going as live as I usually do on here, and even on Rumble, although I need to commit myself a little bit more. But things have just been, I've been like a rubber band being pushed back, pulled from the side to side, back and forth. So it gets complicated. But we're going to be talking about, obviously, the inauguration yesterday, which was the big news. I hadn't watched everything on it. I watched some of it. I did see a lot of shade was thrown, and if looks could kill, some people wouldn't be in the room. By what I saw, of course, for those that are wondering if you did watch it, Trump was inaugurated as the 47th president, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got booed. Not surprising, so did Barack Obama. They did the inauguration at the rotunda out with the Congress because of the cold weather. And then I think they had the rest of the ceremonies go on at the arena out in the DC area, those that are familiar with it. But yeah, Harris and Biden got booed. And not surprisingly, because this was at the Capitol. That's Hillary and Bill.
President of the United States, the Honorable Joseph R. Biden Jr., and Vice President of the United States, the Honorable Kamala Harris.
So yeah, everybody was watching from the Capital One Arena, and the inauguration was taking place at the Capitol, and that was because of the weather. So everyone saw that, and one of the things Trump did immediately when he was reinstated, when he took the oath of office and he was reinstated, he held a press conference he was taking questions from the press, and he was also signing executive orders, and he signed at least 26. Now, if you look at the body language, you could tell they were uncomfortable with the ceremony. They didn't want to be there. They clearly didn't want to be there.
Now, I thought this was particularly interesting, though unsurprising. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were booed entering the Capitol for the inauguration. Have a look at this.
The President of the United States, the Honorable Joseph R. Biden Jr., and Vice
Yeah, I'm going to get to this in a minute because they had the press service today, and Billie Jean King's husband there is was talking about the president in regards to illegal immigrants and LGBTQ and protecting them, because Trump announced in his speech that the United States, he's reversing a lot of things, of course, that Biden and Harris had enacted. And one of the things that he's reversing, he's making a policy in the federal government that only two genders are recognized by, and I believe by birth, which is man and woman, male and female. And so I didn't see this. They said Biden was fell asleep. Now, people can knock and hate Trump all they want, but I can give the man, and this is from looking at politics, something he has done. He overcame a lot in this last presidency, in this election. All he was facing was losing in 2020 to the indictments that he was facing, his lawsuits and so forth. He still managed to win the nomination and win the presidency. That Biden was falling asleep. He's like, my job is over. Is it over yet? Of course he was dozing off. Yeah, Harris was uncomfortable. You look at her. But the inauguration was a mess because Trump was just throwing shade on everybody, on him, on Biden. And Biden pardoned his family. Now, obviously, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but yeah, just listen to parts of what Donald Trump had to say when he was sworn in.
platforms. Pray for our 47th president. Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that you gave our 45th and now our 47th president
And here's Martin Luther
a millimeter
King.
miracle.
Listen
We are
to this. This is
grateful that
Lorenzo
you are
Sneaux.
the one
Well, yeah, he's
that have
gone
called him
viral
for
for
such a
this.
time as this,
How many of y'all
that
seen this?
America would begin to dream again. We pray that we would fulfill the true meaning of our creed, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Yeah, he's
We
gone
pray that you
viral for
use
the
our
wrong
president,
reasons.
that we would live in a nation.
I missed him on
We will
Black
not be
Twitter for
judged
this.
by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, we are so grateful today that you will use our 47th president so we would sing with new meaning, my country, 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and because America is called to be a great nation, we believe that you will make this come true. So let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous hilltops of California, but God, we're asking you not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and every molehill in Mississippi, from every state, every city, every village, and every hamlet. And when we let freedom ring, we will be able to speed up that day where all of your children, black men and white men, Protestant and Catholic, Jew and Gentile, will be able to sing in the meaning of that old Negro spiritual. Free at last. Free at last. Thank you, God Almighty. We are free at last. If you believe what the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Come on, put your hands together and give your great God great glory.
Oh, you knew he was going to get it. They always got to get one. He had to invoke Dr. King on Dr. King Day. So a lot of people are upset about Reverend Sowell. Sowell, I wonder if he's related to Thomas Sowell. It's Sewell. Yeah, Thomas Sowell is not the guy not a guy I admire. And they felt he was mocking Martin Luther King Jr. This is my first time hearing about this guy. I'm sure it won't be the last. We'll see him again in the media. They're going to bring him out probably for Black History Month. We'll have him in a dashiki next with the... He's going to be with the... he won't be with the Congressional Black Caucus because apparently anybody that aligns with the right, they stay away from. Anybody that votes Republican or conservative, they stay away from because that's what the Democrats tell him to do. But I can imagine he's going to be at some... He might be at another little prep breakfast that they have put together. He might be part of that new meeting, body count too. Remember the body count? We got to get that body count down. That pastor out, was it? I can't even think of the pastor's name, but Tariq Nasheed's talked to him. I think the guy was out of Chicago. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He's going to be on there. But the inauguration, so I'm going to get back to the inauguration a little bit because, yeah, Trump was speaking. He gave like a 30-minute speech, and he was throwing some shade at a lot of people, even at the president. So I'm going to play a little bit of it, and you can see their body language that they, Biden and Harris weren't happy about it, which doesn't surprise me. Hillary wasn't happy about it, but hold on.
Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country, sunlight is pouring over the entire world, and America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before. But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America. As we gather today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions that have illegally entered our country from all over the world. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people. Our country can no longer deliver basic services in times of emergency, as recently shown by the wonderful people of North Carolina, been treated so badly, and other states who are still suffering from a hurricane that took place many months ago, or more recently, Los Angeles, where we are watching fires still tragically burn. From weeks ago, without even a token of defense, they're raging through the houses and communities, even affecting some of the wealthiest and most powerful individuals in our country, some of whom are sitting here right now. They don't have a home any longer. That's interesting. But we can't let this happen. Everyone is unable to do anything about it. That's going to change. We have a public health system that does not deliver in times of disaster, yet more money is spent on it than any country anywhere in the world. And we have an education system that teaches our children to be ashamed of themselves in many cases, to hate our country despite the love that we try so desperately to provide to them. All of this will change starting today, and it will change very quickly. My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place, and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. From this moment on, America's decline is over.
The decline is over. Sleepy Joe is gone, and so
Our
is
liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Over the past 8 years, I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear.
in my ear.
But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're talking about Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos was at the inauguration too with his, with Kamala and Joe.
That is why each day under our administration of American patriots, we will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day.
Liberation. It is Liberation Day, and it's gonna be terrific. It's terrific.
It is my hope that our recent presidential election will be remembered as the greatest and most consequential election in the history of our country. As our victory showed, the entire nation is rapidly unifying behind our agenda with dramatic increases in support from virtually every element of our society, young and old, men and women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, urban, suburban, rural, and very importantly, we had a powerful win in all 7 swing states, and the popular vote, we won by millions of people. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor, we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true. Thank you. Thank you. National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. Can't do that. Today, I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions, and that is exactly what I am going to do. We will do it at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. Yeah. Trump is calling We're gonna go a little bit further. That's what he talks about the birthright.
America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. Let me use it. We will bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again, right to the top, and export American energy all over the world. We will be a rich nation again, and it is that liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. With my actions today, we will end the Green New Deal and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago. And thank you to the auto workers of our nation for your inspiring vote of confidence. We did tremendously with their vote. I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America.
That I support. Now that I support. That I support. That's something we've been dealing with YouTube, with Facebook. You know, they had admitted, Zuckerberg admitted they were doing things on behalf of the Biden administration. Now notice the body language. Look, Harris and Biden are not clapping. Neither is Schumer.
Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents, something I know something about. We will not allow that to happen. It will not happen again. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. And we are going to bring law and order back to our cities. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
The question is which one. They got to pick one. They can switch.
This week, I will reinstate any service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. And I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. It's going to end immediately. Our armed forces will be free to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies. Like in 2017, we will again build the strongest military the world has ever seen. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families.
I always say clap for that. I have to make sure Biden and Harris clap for that. How do they stand up on this spot?
Thank you. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world. A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs. President McKinley made our country very rich through tariffs and through talent. He was a natural businessman and gave Teddy Roosevelt the money for many of the great things he did, including the Panama Canal, which has foolishly been given to the country of Panama after the United States. The United States, I mean, think of this, spent more money than ever spent on a project before and lost 38,000 lives in the building of the Panama Canal. We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should have never been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. Above all, my message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization. So as we liberate our nation, we will lead it to new heights of victory and success. We will not be deterred. Together, we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful for our rights and for our freedom. They were farmers and soldiers, cowboys and factory workers, steel workers and coal miners, police.
All right, that's enough of that. I'm getting tired of listening to it. But what I really want to get to, most importantly, if you had heard it, hold on, let me put the music back on. Yeah, he signed some executive orders, at least 26 of those. And those orders included ending the birthright citizenship. So he signed 26 orders. He reversed that. He reversed some of the DEI program. Why is it that? Executive order on immigration and citizenship. He signed executive orders that ended birthright citizenship, pausing refugee admission, designating certain cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, reinstating the Native Mexican policy, and called for increased vetting and screening of migrants entering the United States. He also issued the executive order, as you said, recognizing only two sexes, male and female. And he issued an executive order ending diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the federal government. He issued an executive order restoring the death penalty and regarding it, recognizing it as the only proper punishment of the violent crimes. He also, and this was important, he signed an executive order asking his attorney general not to enforce the TikTok ban for 75 days to permit his administration an opportunity to determine the appropriate course of action with TikTok. He also issued an executive order restoring free speech and ending federal censorship, and another one of the weaponization of the federal government. He also issued executive order. And a big thing too is the birthright citizenship. Now, people have to understand with the different branches of federal government, the president is the head of the executive branch. Of course, there's legislative and there's judicial. The executive orders are only to the extent of the federal government and to his duties as president. So, with regards to this censure to the birthright citizenship, what will likely happen is I can see there being a legal matter in the next year or so, well, let's just say the next couple of years, that's going to go before the Supreme Court over birthright citizenship. In particular, the issue with the 14th Amendment. Now, for those that know history, the reason there was a 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship, that was not for people to come in and have an anchor baby. And by that, I mean they actually came into the United States, got pregnant, just so the fact that they could stay in the United States. The purpose of the 14th Amendment was to give slaves, former slaves, citizenship, as well as their children. And so anybody that's born here is by law and definition considered a citizen. And what has happened, especially with DACA, with the Dreamers Act, with the non-enforcement of the border, they've allowed everybody and anyone to come into this country illegally and have certain rights. And that has not been allowed. A lot of people, and I think that was one of the main reasons as to why Donald Trump won the presidency. People were fed up with the increase of mass immigration and no provisions, no regulations being enforced. A lot of people noticed that and also saw that many people, that these immigrants, some of them, getting better, getting advancements, getting monies and so forth, taking over school, being placed like in New York in schools and hotels that taxpayers were paying for. People got fed up with it. And this is the Democrats' fault why Donald Trump is back. Now, of course, when he talked about renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, that can only go up to the United States continental shelf. So even if he wants to do that and did do that, it's limited. Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, I've only known it, especially since I live out here, as the Gulf. I always say out in the Gulf. I don't really say Gulf of Mexico, so I'm not tripping on that too much. Yeah, I'm doing my live. Yeah, you okay? Oh, sorry, y'all. That was Pops coming in here. And he revoked, so he revoked, just getting back to this, dozens of orders of Biden's actions that allow transgender people to serve. The Biden order, also called enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform, had revoked the 2018 ban on transgender members from serving in the military that was implemented in Trump's first term. Trump revoked several other Biden executive orders that promoted DEI efforts across the federal government and reversed some orders that sought to prevent discrimination on gender identity and sexual orientation. He also reversed, now this is interesting, Biden's decision to remove Cuba from the state sponsors of terrorism list. So that's interesting now. So we're going to see what happens. But speaking of DEI, I was talking about the prayer breakfast that they had, and Biden, and that prayer day. Two things. I'm going to show you some videos now. Biden ended up pardoning before he left his family members. Biden pardoned his family members as well as Dr. Fauci. And you're wondering why he did that. Now, fair use, and I'm going to get to the National Press Service, but in a minute as well. But this is what happened here. So this is going on CBS. Remember, he pardoned his son Hunter. He said he wasn't going to do that, but he ended up doing it. So hold on. But hold on, fair use.
This news 24/7. You could call today delivery day. It is go time right now for Donald Trump. Well, the president also cleaning house, members of the Biden administration out, along with a morning announcement of a purge of more than 1,000 political appointees. Trump made a point to name 4 of them on social media, including celebrity chef Jose Andres, who, by the way, is right now feeding victims of the LA wildfires, and former top general Mark Milley, who testified against Donald Trump and, by the way, got a preemptive pardon in the final hours of Joe Biden's presidency. So let's go live right now to CBS News chief White House correspondent Major Garrett. Major, pardons getting the headlines this morning, especially Joe Biden's last-minute pardons, and, of course, the pardons for those January 6th insurrectionists. Stay with me here because we want to get your thoughts about what lawmakers told our crews just a minute ago in the halls of Congress, and then we'll get your reaction.
Is you should pay attention. This probably won't get reported, but I hope it does. And that's the abuse of the pardon process by Joe Biden. I hope anybody who's going to be critical of what occurred last night is also very critical of a massive overreach by President Biden. Prospective pardons, kind of like a get out of jail free card, makes no sense to me either. So to answer your question, maybe we need to go back and look at the contours of the authority that future presidents have around pardoning.
I mean, I said this before, Biden the most massive use of power that we've seen in history. And I think you guys probably should ask this question.
So, Major, hearing from Republicans there in response to pardons, it's very clear that they all would like to keep the conversation on Joe Biden's pardons rather than Donald Trump's pardons. Are you seeing that play out in Washington?
Certainly, in the last-minute Joe Biden pardons are a legitimate news story. They are shocking. They were shocking as we were approaching the inauguration of President Trump to see this last-second announcement from the Biden White House about preemptive pardons, even though no investigations have really begun for any of the family members named. That basically signals to the country that before he left office, President Biden could not express any confidence in due process, the rule of law, or any norms of American jurisprudence. Because if he did, he would let his family members go through investigations, even if they're charged, have their day in court, and follow due process. He short-circuited all of that. That is a legitimate news story. It is worth inquiring about the range of presidential pardon powers, because presidents typically are allowed to pardon for adjudicated crimes, not preemptively for things that haven't even been investigated.
Right. There's
one notable exception to that. That's Gerald Ford pardoning Richard Nixon. But everyone knew at the time, right after Watergate, that there was a pendency of an indictment of Richard Nixon. There had been a full-blown public investigation into all this. An indictment was coming. To pardon family members when there isn't even a full-fledged investigation, that raises legitimate questions. That does not, however, excuse the whitewashing of January 6th and the wholesale pardoning of people who committed acts of political violence against law enforcement officers in full public view, were either convicted of those crimes or pled guilty to those crimes, and then to label them political prisoners or hostages in America. That's not what they are. The pardon powers of President Trump can be applied to them, but he is recasting them as somehow victims of the American jurisprudence system when they committed acts of violence in full public view and were either convicted by a jury of their peers or pled guilty.
Well, and then speaking of those executive orders as they relate to immigration and delivering on the campaign promises of mass deportation, Major, I want to ask you about this. People who come to this country and then have children, those children by the Constitution are seen as citizens of the United States now. The interpretation of that looks to be queuing up for some discussion in our country by way of what Donald Trump has done here.
Absolutely, Reed. You've identified it perfectly. 14th Amendment outlines that if you're born in this country, you are a citizen. That is assumed to be a constitutional protection. Courts have adjudicated this and have always come down on the side of the Constitution and that interpretation of it. Whether your parents have legal status or not is immaterial. Courts have already ruled. However, this administration wants to test that again and say, no, if you're born here and your parents are undocumented, you cannot assume citizenship, and you can be deported along with those undocumented parents who had you born in this country. You're not shielded from deportation if you were born here. This administration wants to retest that in court. There's precedent on the other side of it, but clearly President Trump is aggressive about this, and maybe he believes the Supreme Court, as currently constituted with a conservative majority, will, if this gets all the way up there, reverse longstanding precedent and overturn the historic interpretation of the 14th Amendment.
So speaking to that, and we could almost label our coverage of Donald Trump, will he, won't he, can he, can't he, sort of lens and perspective here. Let's talk about the renaming of the Gulf of Mexico. He said he would, now he's saying he will, but can he, and will it be recognized by other nations? There's that big question today as well.
Mexico's already said it will not recognize it. It will be the Gulf of Mexico to the Mexican government. It will probably be the Gulf of Mexico to others who refer to it on their maps. There is a process. Ed O'Keefe, my colleague here in Washington with CBS News, knows a great deal about the finer contours of the federal bureaucracy. He used to cover that when he was at the Washington Post, and he told us yesterday that there is a somewhat obscure bureau that has a process for the application of names. And it's not just something that comes from a presidential executive order or presidential decree. So for the purposes of the Trump presidency, he will call it the Gulf of America. Everyone who speaks for him will call it the Gulf of America. Whether the federal bureaucracy ever gets around to doing that remains to be seen. Other nations, including Mexico, have already said they're keeping it the Gulf of Mexico.
Major Garrett, so much to stay on top of. And as always, an excellent job. Thank you so much. Nice streaming with you today.
Someone says, thank you for reporting on this after you spent 4 years covering this for the Bidens. But here's the thing. Yes, I didn't like the fact that Trump pardoned the January 6th rioters. I knew that was going to happen because he had said he was going to do it. I already knew just by who he was going to do it. But Biden issued a sweeping pardon for his entire family when they haven't even had an indictment. Outside of Hunter Biden, you issue pardons for your sister-in-law, your brother-in-law, and others, Dr. Fauci. And for what reason? Other than my only thinking is if he feels that Trump is going to weaponize the department, if he's going to weaponize the Department of Justice to go after him after he was attacked, that would probably be my thing. Or here's another thing too. It could also be both. Two things can be true at the same time. Or it could be that his family had some secrets and dealings that they were tied with. Otherwise, other than that, it just doesn't look good. Didn't look good for Biden, but Biden didn't care. Remember, he said he wasn't going to get involved with Hunter, pardoning him, and his son got convicted for a crime. See, this is what I don't like with the Democrats is the hypocrisy. That's what turns me off. If you were just upfront and said, you want to, when you get up and stand with a cape around your neck, like you're Superman, you're the good guy standing for morals, and you stood the straight path, I can accept that. Or if you said you don't stand the straight path and you're going to make mistakes, you're going to screw up, you want to be just in the dirt as them, fine, but you can't play two sides. You can't play two sides, which is what they're doing here. And on CNN, they were talking about the fact that Trump, they had Scan Jones talking about Trump pardoning the January 6th rioters. And I was even talking about it with my brother. He was like, what do you feel about it? Because he knows who I voted for and so forth. And people got to realize something. Who you vote for, this is business. Like Nelly, people mad at Nelly, Snoop Dogg, and Rick Ross, and I think Soulja Boy for performing at Trump's inauguration are the same people that were praising Meg Thee Stallion for twerking it up at Kamala Harris's functions. Y'all thought that was appropriate? That's why nobody rocks with the fucking Dems. That's why people are walking away. It's the hypocrisy. You look down on other people. You became what you hate the Republicans for, what you claim to hate. That's the truth. That's the truth. All this shit is corrupt. And this was the church service I want to show you all.
Continue to bring you the top feeds, live stories, and of course, this is what day of prayer. President Trump had some remarks for it. He was asked.
This bishop, her name is Marion Edgar Budd. I'm not kidding. And you're going to see what happened. Listen to this closely.
How the service was, and this is what he said. We'll tell you a little bit more about it on the back end.
Mr. President, what did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I did think it was a good service. No. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
They could do much better.
Right, so he said they could do much better, and it comes after the remarks here from the bishop from earlier today. Bishop Budd was asking President Trump at the service to protect gay, lesbian, transgender children, illegal immigrants, and people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings during a prayer service at the National Cathedral. And so those were the remarks and statement by President Trump coming back to the White House. Let's just listen to a little bit here of the service from earlier, and you will see again the reaction from President Trump.
And together in a free society, it is the solid rock, as Jesus said, in this case, upon which to build a nation. It is not conformity. It is not victory. It is not polite weariness or passivity born of exhaustion. Unity is not partisan. Rather, unity is a way of being with one another, that it encompasses and respects our differences, that teaches us to hold multiple perspectives and life experiences as valid and worthy of respect, that enables us in our communities and in the halls of power to genuinely care for one another, even when we disagree. Those across our country who dedicate their lives or who volunteer to help others in times of natural disaster, often at great risk to themselves, never ask those they are helping for whom they voted in a past election or what positions they hold on a particular issue. And we are at our best when we follow their example. For unity at times is sacrificial, in the way that love is sacrificial, a giving of ourselves for the sake of another. In his Sermon on the Mount, Jesus of Nazareth exhorts us to love not only our neighbors, but to love our enemies, and to pray for those who persecute us, to be merciful as our God is merciful, to forgive others as God forgives us. And Jesus went out of his way to welcome those whom his society deemed as outcasts. Now, I grant you that unity in this broad, expansive sense is aspirational, and it's a lot to pray for. It's a big ask of our God, worthy of the best of who we are and who we can be. But there isn't much to be gained by our prayers if we act in ways that further deepen the divisions among us. Our scriptures are quite clear about this, that God is never impressed with prayers when actions are not informed by them. Nor does God spare us from the consequences of our deeds, which always, in the end, matter more than the words we pray. Those of us gathered here in the cathedral, we are not naive about the realities of politics. When power and wealth and competing interests are at stake, when views of what America should be are in conflict, when there are strong opinions across a spectrum of possibilities and starkly different understandings of what the right course of action is, there will be winners and losers when votes are cast, decisions made that set the course of public policy and the prioritization of resources. It goes without saying that in a democracy, not everyone's particular hopes and dreams can be realized in a given legislative session or a presidential term, not even in a generation. Which is to say, not everyone's specific prayers, for those of us who are people of prayer, not everyone's prayers will be answered in the way we would like. But for some, the loss of their hopes and dreams will be far more than political defeat, but instead a loss of equality and dignity and their livelihoods. Given this, then, is true unity among us even possible? And why should we care about it? Well, I hope we care. I hope we care. Because the culture of contempt that has become normalized in this country threatens to destroy us. We are all bombarded daily with messages from what sociologists now call the outrage industrial complex. Some of that driven by external forces whose interests are furthered by a polarized America. Contempt fuels political campaigns and social media, and many profit from that. But it's a worrisome, it's a dangerous way to lead a country. I'm a person of faith, surrounded by people of faith. And with God's help, I believe that unity in this country is possible. Not perfectly, for we are imperfect people and an imperfect union, but sufficient enough to keep us all believing in and working to realize the ideals of the United States of America, ideals expressed in the Declaration of Independence with its assertion of innate human equality and dignity. And we are right to pray for God's help as we seek unity, for we need God's help, but only if we ourselves are willing to tend to the foundations upon which unity depends. Like Jesus' analogy of building a house of faith on the rock of his teachings as opposed to building a house on sand, the foundations we need for unity must be sturdy enough to withstand the many storms that threaten it. And so what are they? The foundations of unity? Drawing from our sacred traditions and text, let me suggest that there are at least three. The first foundation for unity is honoring the inherent dignity of every human being, which is, as all the faiths represented here affirm, the birthright of all people as children of our one God. In public discourse, honoring each other's dignity means refusing to mock or discount or demonize those with whom we differ, choosing instead to respectfully debate our differences, and whenever possible, to seek common ground. And if common ground is not possible, dignity demands that we remain true to our convictions without contempt for those who hold convictions of their own. Second foundation for unity is honesty in both private conversation and public discourse. If we're not willing to be honest, there's no use in praying for unity because our actions work against the prayers themselves. We might, for a time, experience a false sense of unity among some, but not the sturdier, broader unity that we need to address the challenges that we face. Now, to be fair, we don't always know where the truth lies, and there's a lot working against the truth now. But when we do know, when we know what is true, it's incumbent upon us to speak the truth, even when, especially when, it costs us. And the third and last foundation I'll mention today is, foundation for unity is humility, which we all need, because we are all fallible human beings. We make mistakes. We say and do things that we later regret. We have our blind spots and our biases, and perhaps we are most dangerous to ourselves and others when we are persuaded without a doubt that we are absolutely right and someone else is absolutely wrong. Because then we are just a few steps from labeling ourselves as the good people versus the bad people. And the truth is that we're all people. We're both capable of good and bad. Alexander Solzhenitsyn once astutely observed that the line separating good and evil passes not through states, not between classes, nor between political parties, but right through every human heart, through all human hearts. And the more we realize this, the more room we have within ourselves for humility and openness to one another across our differences, because in fact, we are more like one another than we realize, and we need each other. Unity is relatively easy to pray for on occasions of great solemnity. It's a lot harder to realize when we're dealing with real differences in our private lives and in the public arena. But without unity, we're building our nation's house on sand. And with a commitment to unity that incorporates diversity and transcends disagreement, and with the solid foundations of dignity, honesty, and humility that such unity requires, we can do our part and in our time to realize the ideals and the dream of America. Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
Once again, that was from earlier today, where Bishop Budd making those remarks, and now it is making a lot of news here because of the reaction that President Trump has just talked about after coming back from this service. I want to play that out for you once again. Very brief statement there, but again, it shows you President Trump not too happy with that statement from the bishop. Take a look.
Mr. President, what did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon?
What did you think of the service?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I did think it was a good service, though. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press.
Good service, President Budd, Minister Budd, Edgar. I could tell the direction. We can look at it and just tell the direction it was going. That's an activist. Of course, yes, the agenda was there. You could tell. So, look, I'm about to wrap this thing up because we got to go for I got to get ready for this other live stream at 6. But what are y'all thinking of this presidency? Interested to hear what y'all are thinking. I'm sure some of you are concerned, but look, we've been here. We've dealt with stuff, bad presidents in the past. We've dealt with people who we didn't like. We're going to overcome this. So don't you all get up and excited and upset. We're going to make it. It's going to be good. I'm optimistic, man. We'll see what happens. I think we're going to be, I think this is going to organize us even further. Trump's presidency, I think, is going to push us even as Black people further to get stuff that we need. I think it's going to force us to unify. Because we have other presidents, especially those, the Democrats, make us, I feel it makes us pacified with these other presidents that we've had, like with Biden and so forth. We got complacent and didn't want to be active. Now we got no choice. So be active, ladies and gentlemen. Stay active. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. Y'all be safe and be blessed. I will see y'all in the next one. Be one, be safe and be blessed. Oh, if you love me for my time, pay me for my time, please drop something in the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. Yeah, I think Trump presidency, especially on the migrant stuff, that's going to be good for us. But y'all stay safe. All right. Peace, family. I'm going to go outside. It's not snow anymore. It's kind of stopped a little bit, but it is still bone cold. It's still freezing cold outside. I think they're saying it's going to snow again. No, I'm out. Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.